Slaanesh is in the house.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Baer from SpikyBits.com, and today we've got the brand new Slaanesh releases for Age of Sigmar, and a lot of them you can actually use in Warhammer 40k, and they have the data sheets in the boxes too. Now, also out this week are the Fiends of Slaanesh and the Infernal and Rapturous. The Fiends are a respectable $50 in my opinion, and the Infernal Rapturous is $40 US. Now, we've shown you those in the Wrath and Rapture box set before, so check out that unboxing video from I think January, I want to say. I don't know, either way. It's here on the channel somewhere. And then the Hedonites of Slaanesh Chaos Battle Tome for Age of Sigmar is out this week as well for $40, but we're not going to really talk about that because there's a million other tactics and preview copy channels that are doing all that sort of thing, so you can check that out over on them. But just to let you know, that is out this week. Now, the rest of the lineup we're going to take a look at probably a little bit in depth. I want to at least put together the Keeper secrets for you. Maybe this Syll'Esske, we'll go with Syll'Esske. The Vengeful Allegiance Demon Prince / Herald model, which looks pretty neat, and at least in 40k it seems to be perhaps ready to make a big splash on the scene there. Now, we've got the Endless Spells, and those are going for the normal $35 US. We got the Contorted Epitome, which we don't know how many points. I assume we'll get some points on this here for some free download, maybe data sheet or something on GW's site here at some point. That model is coming out at $50 US. The Mask is 40, I believe, or no, she's a oh gosh, how much was this? No, this one was 25, and it's definitely a welcome replacement over the Finecast one. The Fane of Slaanesh, I'm going to show you a different way to make this as well, because some people might not want this big Slaaneshi face on it, and I think there's a way to actually do that and not have to put that on it. So the Fane of Slaanesh is $35 US, is a piece of trim for Sigmar only. There are no 40k rules for it. Keeper of Secrets has the two different ones. You can take the Hexbane, or you can take the Keeper of Secrets. That is $140 US, and then the Syll'Esske, the Vengeful Allegiance, is a very interesting, I believe, $50 as well. Yep, $50 US. So let's jump right into it, take a look at the sprues, and build what we're gonna build. So the Fane of Slaanesh is a 2-sprue, bulkier kind of plastic that we've seen in the past. Now, this was made in China, produced in the UK, made in China, I think it is, says on here. So it's a lot bigger, but it's probably about the normal size, like the gnarled tree wood for Nurgle right there. And it goes together pretty interestingly, like in sections and things. And like I was saying, I think at least with this, you could cut out the Slaanesh face right there and leave that out, and then insert the portal into that and not use any of these gems or anything here. And you could, well, you could hang them on the back if you really wanted to, and then that way you wouldn't have the face if you so desired. And then it looks like it slots into the little round spot right there on the base, and you put that little pillar right there on the back, which is right here as well. So I mean, detail wise, it's pretty well done. You know, it's like I said, it's that bulkier Chinese resin, but they've gotten better at it over the years. I mean, you can see individual coins and such in here, some little patterns in the pottery and such here. It's, you know, it's not bad. There's plenty of texture right here, so it won't be too hard to paint all that right there. But I'm not sold on this face. If I was gonna play, I would definitely cut that out and omit that from the final build. Next up are the Endless Spells, and here's the 2 sprues right here, again made in China. Now these are, it's a little bit more rat's nest kind of build sort of thing, and I'll show you why. So when you're looking at the Dreadful Visage here, all of these little, whatever they are, I don't know, bondage straps or whatever coming out of the mouth here have to be trimmed down and kind of glued together as an assembly. And then the wheels of excruciation are, I don't even know where to start with that, but that's crazy. That's going to take a lot of like time and effort to get in there. We'll check and see if they have flash to deflash off there. The hand, it's going to have 2 different like kind of appearing or materializing bits right there, and then the claws and daggers across there. Now these 2 are going to go down onto separate bases right here, and then the eviscerating little thingamabobbers, those actually have their own base. So that's basically how it goes together. 75 mil ovals for all of them, and then this one has its own with there's pretty good detail in here, like some little skeletons and stuff getting eviscerated. And like I said, let's check this for. It actually looks like the flash is, no, it's pretty chunky right there. So it's going to be a little bit challenging on this one to trim all that flash down. Maybe you care, maybe you don't, but be very careful because, this is there's a lot of real estate here. And on these little bondage strap things, I don't even know what's going on with this. It looks like they're pretty clear for the most part, but definitely check it after you clip them out and kind of smooth it down. Use a sharp razor so that way hopefully you don't have any don't cut any chunks out of the actual physical parts of the model, like the straps right there. The mirror looks okay, and the hands definitely appears to slot in with these little rail system here that we've seen in the past from some of this type of terrain. So overall, I would think it's okay. We're not going to put this one together, so I can't give you any 100% gotchas, but it looks like it seals up pretty good, and then the daggers go on in a little diamond pattern thing right there. So slot kind of I would say a slot hole, peg hole type deal right there. So pretty easy. Next up is the Contorted Epitome, which is a much smaller kit. This is the multi-part plastic. This was made in England, so it's the more detailed type of thing that we come to expect from Games Workshop. It's on a 75 mil oval base, whereas those other ones were on a 90 mil oval base. And from looking at it, it looks like you put the tails and such together. So there isn't a whole lot of overlap, that like they're one part, two part, kind of like we saw with the Marathi. And then this, the demonettes, or the little riders, or whatever you want to call them, it looks like they are separate assemblies. So you can actually use them if you buy this and you don't want to put them on there. You could use them as, maybe some special characters or some heralds of your own, which would be pretty neat, especially this one right here. It's kind of doing that little, here I am, presenting, I think it's called. I'm not an anthropologist, what do they call it? The study of people, but that looks to be presenting to me. And then there's the data sheet for it. Again, we don't know the points on it, but if you want to take a closer look, hit that pause button. And then of course, well, we'll know the points here soon. I'm sure it'll be a download from Games Workshop. So as far as the detail goes, the details, or the little whatever you want to call these, seem pretty well detailed, but where the detail is really going to kind of come through and really shine, that this is the standard kind of thing that we expect from Games Workshop, is on the demonettes, which are right here, and then you've got this other one right here. So a lot of assemblies in place here, but overall, I mean, it's definitely a very interesting looking model, to say the least. And then with the potential to have 2 extra heralds if you want to position them onto separate bases, well, it seems like that might be good value for the price of the kit overall. The mask is up next, and like I said in the intro, definitely a welcome addition from the Fine Cast one, although it was available in metal there for a little while, but I think that day ended abruptly, and for the past 8 years or so, this has been, Fine Cast has been the only way to get her. So as you can see, it's going to really come down to a lot of computer slices, not a lot of customizable parts here, but it is very dynamic. And we're not going to put it together today, but I would imagine, judging by why the robe goes on here and different things, that's going to hide a lot of the seam lines. You got this fancy neck gorget thing right here. I'm sure it has a very, very fancy French name that escapes me right now, but obviously if you know that, leave it in the comments. The true options are going to come from the selection of masks right here, which you can see on the back, where you've got this one here that looks kind of Kiss/Harlequin-y, and this one, I don't even know what's going on with that. That looks... Why is there a tear? I don't know. Did that kill somebody in prison? In Slaanesh prison? Who knows? Either way, those are your 2 options right there. But again, for the price, it being a special character at $25, again, seems like good value, because most of the time they're $35 or $40 for the special characters out there. That being said, value is a relative. My father used to always say that something is only worth what people are willing to pay for it. But having more reasons to pay a certain price for something, I'm sure, is never a bad thing, so to speak. So this is what do we call her? Call him her Syll'Esske, only because it is a dude and a demonette, which I assume to be female, but maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I completely underestimate how all of these models identify, I suppose. But anyways, it's that right there, the Vengeful Alliance. And now you definitely draw some similarities between this part, the Demon Prince part, and Xerxes from the movie 300. And I'm sure that's not accidental whatsoever. But when you start looking at the sprues, or the sprue which there isn't a whole lot of parts, which is kind of cool. You start seeing, hey, it's going to go together, typical computer slice. But the way the robes are, it looks to hold, to hide some of the gaps and some of the mold lines, but then it gets really interesting really quick here with the arm, the Xerxes head right there, the Gorget, and the crazy whatever this is. I guess technically you don't have to put it on there, but there'll be the half moon kind of thing behind there, so you might want it regardless. And then the axe, and then the little demonette, the crazy demonette on the back doing her demonette things. I mean, technically you wouldn't have to put it on there, but I think that's the whole point of the model. The harness here, and then her jumping all nimbly bimbly, and those are actually her feet are part of the little wishbone kind of harness type deal right there. So it's going to be very hard to not put this together the way it is designed, although I suppose you could use a different model on top, but why would you? I mean, it seems like perfectly posed for that right there. So I can see where a lot of people are going to like this model because, well, they'll be able to, you know, really try off some paint skills and things like that, because there's a lot of flat areas, a lot of crazy stuff you can do. And I'm not sure, it looks like those tattoos are actually cut into the model itself, which is going to make painting skin and doing a lot of washes pretty fun. Now, it is on a 50 mil base, which is a departure from the normal 60 mil standard for a demon print. So I don't know what that's all about. Here's the parts, and yep, it does look like the tattoos and stuff are cut right into the model itself. So it is going to be quite large. That's about 2.5 inches, and we got about an inch right there, maybe 75. So it's going to be on scale of a Primarch, if not bigger than, say, Robbie G, and definitely bigger than Abaddon himself. And then the head right there, very well detailed. You've got the crazy whip and arm kind of pulled back, ready to snap with this this crazy lash whip of ridiculousness right here. So all in all, it looks, I mean, deceptively simple. There's not that many parts, but time depending, we may build this one today, but we got to get through this Keeper of Secrets and get that one put together next. So here it is, the last of the 4 greater demons, the greater demon pantheon of chaos. It does come with its own collector's little insert box here, which is pretty neat, as we saw with Nurgle, Khorne, and of course Tzeentch. It does make 2 different models, the named character one along with the Keeper of Secrets, I guess. Oh, there you go. I guess technically himself. Slaanesh is the Dark Prince, so, but I believe this one identifies as a female because all of the lore and the background in the book seem to indicate this is a female. Don't ask me how we know these things, but that is what I read. Coming on board now, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make both of these models, right? Because this one's a little bit more, this one's a little bit less. They do different things on the tabletop, and I could see the advantages to maybe wanting both in your army, and I think there is a way to do it, and we'll go over that here in a second. But just to give you a quick preview of the sprues, they are quite large. There's a lot going on with these robes, but it's going to give you a lot of cool surface area and a lot of room to play around with on the artsy side of things, right? So let's cut this, get a little bit bigger on the camera, and then come back and show you the nitty-gritty of the instructions. And we are back. So here's the Keeper of Secrets, here's the Hexbane, or Hellbane, excuse me. And you can kind of see you've got your standard assembly here, which is your slice and dice. You got your leg, you got your upper torso, you've got the first set of robes, we'll call them the waist robes. And then you've got the back and the lizard demon tail right there. And then you switch to, oh, are you going to make a Keeper of Secrets? Or are you going to make the Hellbane, which the Hellbane is right here. Again, not a lot of parts when you consider their size, and there's 2 sprues, sure, but it is what it is. Now, the one things I noticed right off the bat is there's a little bit of ornamental jewelry and a front robe here, depending on which one you want to do, and the cowl, we'll say, up here around this robe. And the robes and the chains are specific per model. So you're gonna kind of have to pick a pose and kind of go with it. But there is a way, and then there's a lot of headdress, tiaras and stuff on the Hellbane here. And she actually has a little bit more ornate of a whip. They both have a living whip option, but hers is a little bit more fancy, and the Keeper of Secrets is a little bit more Indiana Jones style. There's a couple of things that come to thought right here to modulize this. So the arms themselves, you could magnetize here at the joints if you really wanted to switch between the spear and the this arm over here, which would hold the whip, or the shining aegis, right? You could do that. You could magnetize it there, and then you could also magnetize it at the bottom right here if you wanted to. Now this, the sword itself, you don't really have a choice. Like, this is going to be the sword, or this arm over here is going to be the spear. But you have the choice of the left hand if you want to go with the Sinister's Hand, the Shining Aegis, the Ritual Knife, or the Living Whip. So you can magnetize this part, and you can also magnetize right down there with that part. Now, there is one thing to consider here, is that this back Spawn cape, aka shout out to the 90s old school Spawn comic books, it kind of looks like that, or Doctor Strange, I suppose, but this definitely reminds me of that, is this piece right here is going to actually glue to the hand, but not completely to the hand, somewhat to the wrist right there. And I know it's hard to see in the instructions, so it is possible that you could just glue this to the upper half, but then you couldn't magnetize this right here, which means that you couldn't switch between this offhand right here. But it kind of doesn't matter, because you could just use the same weapons. They're right here. They're just not quite as ornate. So I don't know. It's your call. We're probably just going to assemble it one way, but that is something to be aware of, that you could do that. And then you would have this looking pose right here. This would be the same. This arms would switch out to be that. This offhand would switch out to be whichever weapon. And the claw arms are going to be the same regardless of which one you use. They just painted them different here, but those are literally the same arms per both, and then you just have to pick a head to go with. So it is possible to magnetize it and be modular. You just wouldn't be able to have the different kind of flowing robes. You'd have this inside robe right here, but you wouldn't have this flowing robe and this attached kind of robe. I'm not a robologist. I don't know what the difference between those robes, but those are your options. Now I think we're going to go more this route, because overall right now, where we're at in 8th edition, it seems like the Hellbane is way better of a value at the 260 or the 270 mark in 40k at least than the Keeper of Secrets at the new 240 point, 230 point ish kind of mark right there. So let's cut it here and let us go in and start assembling things to show you how big this is gonna compare to some of the other brothers in the pantheon of the Chaos Greater Demons, and maybe get that Greater Demon Herald, the Vengeful Allegiance put together as well. All right, we did it. So we got the Keeper of Secrets together, or I guess the Hellbane right here, and looks to be on 100 mil. I'm gonna say that's 100 mil base. Wow, that spear is just so ginormous. Now, this is pretty cool. I mean, you've got all these extra little tassels and hangy downers and all sorts of different things there. And I mean, the claws and everything are very well detailed for plastic kits, about what you would expect. You know, we've seen more detailed stuff come out of Forge World, and we've actually seen the Creature Caster Queen of Ecstasy come out as well. And that is definitely more detailed than plastic. That's just the nature of the beast, of the material and such. You want to be a little careful in here when you're gluing this together. Using I just used some of the really thin cement there, but might have to go back with a little bit of plastic putty. No big deal when it comes to that. Let me make sure we're getting some good light here for you on all this. Got these adjustable lights here, they're pretty cool. So the front, everything looks good. It is a little fiddly to get together with all the little tassels and things up here, this little piece on the back right here, and then these, lining these up with the different spots on the arm. The little tassels get a little crazy, but it's not undoable by any means. But I would definitely recommend following the instructions on which one to attach first that are on there. That will definitely help you out. You can see here where there really isn't any exposed gaps except for maybe right there, and that's pretty well doable, and it's not nothing you'll see from like right up here. Also in the shoulder and the arm right there as well, but it's not anything to really get down about. You can fill it with a little Vallejo plastic putty, you're good to go. Now, size-wise, how does this compare to something like the Lord of Change, or I guess Kairos Fate Weaver? Well, there you go. She is actually taller than Kairos Fate Weaver. Who knew? And on the same size base and everything like that. So, don't have wings, but still got plenty of style, plenty of the class points right there. And I'm not sure who would win in a fight, but I definitely think my money would probably be on the Hellbane given the current state of things. Now, how does she compare to the Queen of Ecstasy from Creature Caster? Well, there you go. It's actually a little bit taller. So Easily a good count as, but you definitely want to clear it with your TO or your opponent probably before you play. And as you can see, just from this angle and this viewpoint, resin definitely more detailed than the GW kit. This is $109, I think, $140. Really, you know, it's up to you at this point how you want to spend your hobby dollars, but I know which one I would want. Now, all that aside, you could still do those magnetization options that, like I said, like right here with the corner on the Hellbane, and then over here on the Aegis shield right there. You just have to position this a little bit more up the arm, kind of like what I did right there. But it is doable. You just got to pick out which one you want and then kind of go from there. And these little coattails, remember, attach separately. So you can either go with the drape or those. I would probably go with these because they don't attach to the arms that you might want to magnetize separately. Now, next up, we got them both together. Actually, we got the Syll'Esske together too, and it's on a 50 mil base. So there's the Xerxes part of it, and this also is very well detailed. It's kind of hard to get in there on that because I'm so far away from the camera, and then we've got the light. So let's pull this up a little bit, see what we can do. Okay, yeah, there we go. So now you can see all the detail of the tattoo and everything like that, and the little gorget going around there. But it locks together pretty well. And then we did the Master Blaster on the back completely separate because this actually locks in super easy. Now you're gonna have to spread this wishbone design a little bit, or this wishbone balancing piece, to get that foot in there because it actually wants to be a little thinner. But once you do that, it will stay together pretty swimmingly. Be careful when you're assembling all this in here in the front torso because that is very difficult. Well, not difficult, it's very delicate. It's hard to get in there and really kind of work on it in any super easy to explain manner. Just follow the instructions and be very careful. Dry fit everything because it is super fiddly. Now this back just slots in at 2 different spots, and believe it or not, it actually stays. So go figure. Pretty neat right there. Now, how do all of these things compare to each other? Well, here's a Herald of Nurgle. So Spoil Spot Scrivener is about half as tall on a 40 mil base. Then we've got Boltermans, Mr. Primaris, looks a little small compared to it, of course. And then Mr. Guardsman, I don't even know why he would be that close, but if he was, he'd probably be running in the other direction. Compared to the Lord of Change, we've got that. A little bit small, it's obviously smaller for a Demon Prince too. And then last but certainly not least, the Hellbane. Oops, so hard, so delicate to move all these things around. Then we've got the Hellbane right there, and that's how it all stacks up to each other. So there it is. We did it. We went through it all. We put 2 together, and they are amazing looking. Very, very, very cool. Only GW can still do this in plastic and somehow get it out there in a super quick and easy manner for consumption. It's just crazy. It's crazy how they keep putting out these gorgeous looking miniatures that really always push the envelope one release to the next. So that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching our unbox and build of 2 of the new Slaanesh releases right there. Of course, lots of downloads over on GW's site for the data sheets themselves, so make sure to check those out. Drop us a subscribe. Make sure to hit that notifications button so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.